Find your way onto your back, lying on your mat in Shavasana. Invite your body to take up space by sending the arms and legs wide, releasing them into the ground, letting go of any effort. Make any adjustments that you need to find comfort on your back. So maybe that means a pillow, maybe a blanket or a towel rolled up beneath the knees. An eye pillow or a cloth to cover the eyes. Just starting to settle into breath, letting go of your day or your week. Any stressors or distractions that may have occurred that are drawing you away from your mat. Set those aside for just this 1 hour. And instead, draw your focus to your breath. Noticing the breath as it moves in and out of your body. The changes that occur in your body with each breath. The natural rise and fall of belly and chest. The expansion of your body with every breath. And at times when you find challenge lying in stillness, you feel the urge to fidget, to move, just notice that the body is always moving with that breath. You are never in complete stillness. Let that movement be enough. Feel the weight of the limbs sinking deeper and deeper into the mat. Maintaining that sense of relaxation, of stillness through the body. Start to slowly turn the gaze over to the right. Bring the right ear down towards the mat. Creating some space in the left side of your neck. You can play with the height of the chin, drawing it closer or further from the right shoulder. Keep the left shoulder in contact with the mat. Bring the gaze back through center, and then over to the left. Gaze back through center. Start to awaken the rest of your body by wiggling the fingers and the toes. Finding some rotations through the wrists and the ankles in both directions. Slide the feet together at the bottom of the mat and bring them in towards your chest, drawing the knees towards you, interlacing around them, maybe taking hold of the thighs. close, you can draw the knees to your chest, even rounding through the spine to begin, lifting the tailbone off the mat. Hug the knees in as close as you can. And then start to send the pelvis, the tailbone back into the mat. Maintaining as much contact between the belly and thighs as you're able, while finding a flat, straight spine. A gentle rock from side to side, massaging the low back. Find some stillness in the center. Lower the sole of the left foot onto the mat. Draw the right knee in close. Reach for a strap. Today I'm going to be using a resistant band, but you can be using a yoga strap, a belt, a leash, or even just a long towel or long sleeve shirt. Wrap the strap over the ball of your foot, the toe mounds. Reach the foot up towards the ceiling. And really send the heel up towards the ceiling here. Reaching the heel away from the hip away from the heel. So send the right hip deep into the mat. Option here to keep the left knee bent or extend it long. As long as it's extended, it stays active though. So reach through the left heel, draw the left toes to your face. Reach the right hip crease away from the shoulders and down into the mat as you start to draw the right toes a little bit closer to the floor behind you. Every breath in lengthens just a little bit, and every exhale, maybe you're able to go a little bit deeper. With the strap on the ball of your foot, so those big toe mound to the pinky toe mound. We're going to start to press through the toes, so it's as if you're stepping down onto a gas pedal here. Keep the leg extended long, keep the toes drawn towards the floor behind you, so we don't want to lose any depth in the pose. But start to press the toes into the strap. Let there be a little bit of resistance there in the strap, as if you're trying to rip your foot through it. And then slowly ease off that effort, bring the toes back towards your face. Maybe you're able to gain a little depth into your stretch. Once again, pressing through the toe mounds, both big toe and pinky toe mound equally, not just the big toe mound here. Keep pressing for 3, 2, 1, slowly release with control. Maybe you're able to go a little bit deeper into your hamstring stretch. Once again, pressing in through the toes for 3, for 2, and 1, release. Maybe you can go a little deeper. Just being mindful here, if you are using a resistance band like me, there is a risk of it snapping and hitting you in the face, so, keep that in mind. I'm pressing through the toes one last time for 5, 4, 3, keep pressing for 2, and 1, slowly release. See if you can gain a little depth. Just pausing here in breath, keep the right hip reaching away from the shoulders and down into the mat. Left leg is still active. Notice if you've eased off throughout this session. Bring both straps into the right hand. Place the left hand on the left hip, rooting it down into the mat. Find the depth of your pose. And then without losing depth, so don't let the heel go towards the left foot here. Keep it reaching beyond the head. Start to send it over to the right side of the room. So it's not just going to the right, it's also going beyond the right shoulder. Pausing when you find that point of sensation, that point of stretch. The left heel is on the floor, the left hip as well. The left toes are pointing to the ceiling, not tipping to left or right. Right ankle stays flexed. Creating some space into the inner right thigh and hip. And then come back through center. Big breath here in the center. If the left leg is bent, you can extend it long here. Take the straps, both end of it, into the left hand this time. Make the capital L shape with the right hand and place the right thumb into the right hip crease with the palm facing down. Press the right thumb away from your shoulders and down into the mat to maintain distance between the right hip and right shoulder, and keep it firmly rooted into the ground. Without lifting the right hip off of the floor, start to walk the right foot over to the left just a couple of inches. It should not go beyond the left shoulder. Really press down through the right outer hip. Now visualize the toes of the right foot pointing at 12 o'clock. Take an internal rotation, so turn the toes slightly to the left as if they're pointing now to 11 or 10 o'clock. Keep drawing the toes behind your head. So even though the right hip is rooted and the toes are pointing left, we're still making that momentum to draw the toes behind the head. Feeling a stretch here into the outer right hip, into the IT band. Come back through center. One final breath here in the center. Slowly release the strap, bend the right knee in towards the chest. Now you can stay here in your wind relieving pose. Option is to lift the hips up, place a block beneath the pelvis, and lower the hips back down. Position the block in such a way that it is comfortable, it's not any sharp edges gouging in, and then return to your wind relieving pose. So it's the same pose. You can choose whether or not to have the hips elevated here. It's going to just be a really good release for the SI joint if you have any sensitivities in that area, any sciatica problems. Keep the left foot active, toes are reaching towards the face on the left, but the right ankle can release. Firmly rooting the pelvis down either into the block or into the floor as you hug the right knee close. If you're up onto a block, you may be feeling a bit of a stretch to the front of the left hip and into the left thigh. A stack of books may also work if you don't have a yoga block. Stay in the center or walk the left foot over to the bottom left corner of the mat. And start to shift the right knee over beyond the right shoulder, creating some distance between the pinky toe edge of the left foot and the tip of the right knee. Don't let your left hip lift up off of the floor or the block here. Keep pressing it down into the ground. Bring the right knee back through center, left leg finds center as well. Hug the the right knee in close one more time. We're going to move into our twist here. So if you're on the block, just make sure that there's a little bit of extra block to the left-hand side so that you don't fall off. Hug the right knee in close, release the right arm at your side. Lengthen first, and then find your twist by sending the right knee over to the left. Just being mindful not to fall off your block here. You can use that block, the edge of the block, as a little bit of a pressure point into the left glute. And again, the block is optional. You can just do the same practice on the floor. Gaze is to the ceiling or over to the right. Every inhale, lengthen. Every exhale, maybe you're able to deepen the twist. If you're up on the block, you may be hearing little cracks or pops through the low back or through the SI joint. That's normal, that's okay. Just a bit of a release. As long as there isn't any pinching or pain. Bring the gaze back through center. Let the right knee find center as well. Adjust your block however you need to find even support. Draw the right knee in one more time. And then extend the right leg long. Option to remove the block or keep it there to have the pelvis lifted slightly off the floor. Reaching the legs long. If you're up on the block, have the legs narrow. If you're on the floor, you can send the feet wider apart and find a mini Shavasana. Either way, you can release through the feet. Find some softness. If you're up on the block here, it's pretty easy to start to tense up the thighs, the glutes, without even realizing. So see if you can invite them to relax and settle into the block. Breathing space into the front of your belly, the front of your pelvis. Slide the feet together if they're not already. Bend through the knees. Bring the knees in towards the chest for a hug. Again, block is optional. It can always slide out from beneath you. Just make sure that you're being symmetrical from side to side. So if you did not use it on the first side, you're probably better to not use it on the second side, and vice versa. Lower the right foot onto the floor. Keep the left knee drawn in, reach for your strap and loop it over the left foot. Making sure the strap is on the toe mounds of the foot, so not on the arch or the heel. It's at the front of the foot, but the toes are free. Reach the left foot up towards the ceiling. Left heel's leading the way. Left hip is firmly rooted into the ground or the block. Decide on this side if you'd like the right leg extended long with the ankle flexed. Just taking note of the position of your foot, the left foot here. As straight as leg as you're able, but a little micro bend is okay. And that may mean that your leg's at about a 45-degree angle. As long as you're feeling a stretch in the back of the left thigh, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter if the sole of the foot is facing the ceiling or if the toes are close to the floor behind you. As long as you're finding a stretch in the back of the left thigh, then you're achieving the pose. Send the left hip away from you and down into the ground. And then draw your awareness to where the foot meets the strap. We're going to start to apply some pressure into the strap. Keep resistance in the strap though, so the elbows can rest on the floor. Don't let the arms be pulled up as the foot presses into the strap. As if you're stepping onto a gas pedal, push through the toe mounds of the foot towards the ceiling, adding tension to the strap for 3, or 2, and 1. Slowly release with control. See if the toes can gain a little more distance towards the floor behind you. And once again, we're going to press into the strap from this position, pressing the toes as firm as you can for 3, 2, 1. Ease off slowly. Maybe you can go even a millimeter deeper. Really pressing through the foot here, pinky toe as well as the big toe, not just the big toes working here. Keep pressing for 3, 2, 1. Slowly release. Right leg is still active here, gaining a little bit of distance each time. Press the toes for 3, for 2, and 1. Slowly release. Last one. This time we're going to press to the toes and keep pressing for 5, for 4, 3. Stay active in the right. 2, and 1. Slowly release. And just noticing if you've gained depth in your pose by using that PNF motion. Keep the left hip reaching away from your shoulders. We're going to switch the strap into the left hand now. Place the right hand on the hip, encourage it down into the mat or the block. The toes stay at your depth, so keep reaching beyond your head as you start to open up to the left. Don't let your right hip lift up here. You may find that you're a little bit tighter on one side than the other. That's normal. Keep the toes of the right foot pointing to the ceiling so they're not tipping to the left or the right here. Feeling a bit of a stretch into the inner left thigh, the left hip. Keep reaching through the left heel. Slowly come back through center. Switch the grip of the straps, so bring the straps now into the right hand. Make that capital L shape with the left hand and shove the left thumb into your hip crease. Palm faces down. Really use your thumb to press the hip away from you and down into the mat or into the block. The toes reach to the floor behind your head. Obviously, it's not going to touch. That's fine. Keep the left shoulder, left hip on the floor as you start to bring the left foot slightly over to the right. So just a couple of inches here. It shouldn't go beyond the right shoulder. We're not coming into a twist here. Once you go beyond the shoulder, the left hip's going to start to lift up and you're going to come into a twist. We want to keep that left hip on the block and just find that point of sensation where you're feeling a stretch in that outer left hip and glute. If the toes are pointing at 12 o'clock, start to turn them inwards, so towards the right, until they face 1 o'clock. Press down through the outer left hip. Pay attention to when in the pose your body starts to ease off. A lot of times without even noticing, we kind of just hang out in a pose. We're not actually doing anything or stretching anything. So when you start to notice that the stretch is easing off, it could mean that you've just loosened up those muscles, or it could mean that you're starting to relax in the pose. ease off and kind of take away any effort. Find the point of sensation and stay there. When it does start to ease off, maybe you go a little bit deeper by really sinking that left hip down, or maybe turning the toes slightly more towards 2 o'clock. Maybe reaching them a little closer to the floor behind your head. Slowly come back through center. One more breath here. Gentle bend in the knee as you release the strap. Draw the left knee in towards the chest, and again we're going to move into that twist, so just make sure that you have enough block to the right side of your hip that you don't fall off. You may have to adjust it just a little bit. Release the left arm at your side, and start to draw the left knee across the body over to the right. Gaze can be at the ceiling or over to the left, just make sure the left hip stays on the floor. I like to align the block so that the corner of the block is pressing into my right glute here. The outer right hip and right glute area, almost like a lacrosse ball or a foam roller would do. Releasing any tension in that area. It's kind of a love-hate, so it kind of hurts, but also feels good. Being mindful not to really force the left knee down, especially if you're on the block, because you're not going to be able to get the knee to touch the floor quite as easily when you're lifted up in the hips. Come back through center. Bend the right knee, let it meet the left. Lift the hips up, remove the block if it's there. And then just take a moment here to let the knees touch and walk the feet further apart. The knees are touching, the feet wide at the mat. Release your arms at your sides. Just take a few moments here to let the low back release. If you've been up on the block, you've had a bit of a back bend here for quite some time. So you want to really release that area. Let it settle into your mat. Find some softness through the belly. Heel toe the feet towards one another. Let the soles of the feet come to touch, the knees go wide apart. Creating a diamond shape with the legs. Maybe take a few gentle up and down motions with the knees. Settle into your depth. Press the soles of the feet together very firm here, so become active through the legs. Squeeze the glutes, the hips towards one another. Squeezing the muscles of the thighs and the calves in towards the bones. Just being mindful of any pain in the joints. Please come out. Keep squeezing everything in towards the midline for 3, for 2, and 1. Slowly release, find some softness. The legs are passive. Really aware of the support between the soles of the feet. Letting the legs grow heavy. Sometimes it can feel nice to put blocks or pillows beneath the knees in this position, just to allow it to really become restorative. With or without the help of the hands, draw the knees towards one another. Bring the right arm up overhead and roll over onto your right side body. Bring the knees in a little bit closer towards the chest, rounding through the spine. Let the left hand rest softly on the floor. Find a sense of calm here on your mat. Maybe even closing the eyes. This pose or that pose with the knees bent, supporting one another and the feet wide, are both perfect alternatives to Shavasana. If you have low back sensitivities, it's not always comfortable lying on your back. Sometimes hip injuries as well can cause that. So if ever Shavasana is cued, you're welcome to begin and end your practice here on your side as an alternative. Taking any restful pose that feels comfortable in your body. When you feel ready in your own time, find your way up to a tabletop position. The shoulders over the wrists, hips over the knees. We'll move through a few cat and cows. So take a big breath in, lift the tailbone, belly drops, heart comes forward, gaze comes up. Exhale, rounded spine. Chin to chest as you gaze to the belly button. Really press down through the hands, hollow out through the chest. Big breath in, cow pose, tailbone lifts, heart comes forward, gaze comes up. Exhale, rounded back, tuck the tailbone, chin to your chest, and gaze to your belly button. Inhale, cat. Exhale, cat. Inhale. Exhale. Big breath in. And a slow breath out. Following your own rhythm of breath. Taking 3 more at your own pace. Once you finish your 3, no rush at all, just landing in a neutral spine. Let the knees go wide. The big toes come to touch or come close to touching. They don't have to necessarily touch. Send the hips back towards the heels and slide the fingertips away from you. Child's pose. Let the forehead rest on something. Let this child's pose be active, so really press down through the hands. All 10 fingertips are gripping into the mat or pressing down into the mat as you ground down through the entire index fingers. The arms are active, elbows lifted off the mat. And as the fingertips draw away from the knees, draw the shoulders back into the joints. It's as if the shoulders are trying to slide the hands towards you without them actually moving. Find length in the spine. The top of the head is reaching away from the tailbone as the hips sink heavy towards the heels. If you have any discomfort in the knees here, you can always try rolling up a towel and placing that behind the knee joints, creating a little bit of space for the joint, a little bit of support for the thighs. Wedging the towel close into the back of the knee. Find your way back into a tabletop. And then walk the knees back a couple of inches to a modified plank. Belly button draws in to support the core. Shoulders over wrists. Start to bend through the elbows. Let them graze the ribs as you lower down onto the mat. Palms on the floor beneath the shoulders. Draw the elbows in towards the ribs and back towards your heels. You're on the shoelace side of the feet, pressing down into the mat, reaching through the big toes. So much so that the knees start to lift. We're going to inhale, lengthen, and lift, bringing the collarbones and 1 or 2 ribs up off the mat for Cobra pose. On an exhale, lower down. Big breath in, lengthen, and lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lengthen, and lift. Each time getting a little bit higher. Lower down. Lengthen and lift. This time we're going to hold the lift. Holding the pose but not the breath. Really pressing down to the tops of your feet. Reach through those big toes. Knees are lifted, thighs and hips and glutes engaged. Belly button and lowest ribs draw in to support the low back as the collarbones draw away from one another, creating a sense of openness through the chest. Keep a long neck, gentle tuck in the chin as you gaze 6 to 8 inches beyond your fingertips. Slowly lower back down. Bring the right arm under your forehead. Turn the toes of the right foot to face the right side of the room. Bend the right knee, bring the inner thigh towards the floor, drawing the right knee towards the right shoulder. So you're coming into half frog pose. Working towards a 90-degree angle with the knee, ankle, and hip. Really pressing firm down through the right inner thigh, the right hip. You can stay here just as you are in the half frog with the big toe of the left foot reaching long behind you. Or you can start to bend through the left knee, bring the left heel in towards the bum, reach back with the left hand to take hold of the foot or use a strap. Draw your awareness to where you would have a zipper if you were wearing jeans right now. Press the entire length of the zipper into the mat. As you draw the left heel in close towards your bum. The entire left thigh is pressing into the mat, and the entire right inner thigh as well. Don't just hang out in the pose. Make sure you're feeling a bit of a stretch here. It's really easy to ease off and then just kind of hang out. So keep visualizing that zipper all the way from the base of the zipper to the button would be pressing into the mat here. Right and left hips equally reaching down to the mat. Slowly release the left foot long. Slide the right foot to meet the left. And just sway the heels from side to side. Find stillness in the center. And we're going to switch the arms. Bring the left arm out in front for a pillow. And turn the toes of the left foot to face the left side of the room. Start to bend the left knee, bringing the left knee over to the left and towards the left shoulder. Pausing when you reach that 90-degree angle at the hip, roughly a 90-degree angle at the knee. and a 90-degree angle at the ankle. So the inner arch of the left foot is on the floor. The inseam of your entire pant leg is on the floor. Pressing down firm through the inner left hip and thigh. Resting the forehead softly on the left arm. You can stay here, or you can bend the right heel, bringing it in towards the glutes. Reach back with the right hand or a strap to take hold of the foot and squeeze it in towards the bum. Press the right knee in towards the mat. Don't let it lift up here. And just because my right heel is touching the glutes doesn't mean yours is supposed to be. Yours is probably going to be a little bit further away. You may not even be able to touch it. That's normal. So just go in where you feel a stretch into the front of the right thigh. Press down through the left hip. Tends to lift up here quite a bit. Creating a long line of energy from the tip of the right knee to the top of your head as you press your imaginary zipper and button into the mat. Stay active in your pose. Don't just chill out in it. Just a few more breaths on this side. Slowly, with control, release the right foot. Extend it long. Let the left foot meet the right. Bring the hands beneath the shoulders. Press yourself up through a tabletop. Find a narrow-legged child's pose here. You can have as much space as you need between the thighs to support your belly. Let the forehead rest on the mat. Bring the hands behind you and reach beyond the toes. Let the palms face up. Just the same as we often fill our belly with breath. See if you can fill your low back area with breath. Letting the low back, the hips, the waist expand with each breath in. And soften with each breath out. Keep the right hand reaching back towards the toes. Left and right hips stay equal distance from the heels, so really be careful not to lift up the one hip here. Reach the left fingertips out in front of you as the right fingertips reach back. Checking in again on the hips, make sure the left and right hip are equal distance from the heels. Really ground down through the left hip as you start to walk the left fingertips over to the right. Keep pressing the left armpit down towards the mat. The left hip towards the left heel. Finding a little bit of a side stretch here. If it's not working, you can always bring the right hand out in front of you to meet the left. Come back through center with the left hand with the head. Bring the right fingertips out to meet the left. One big breath here in neutral. ground down through the right hand. Send the left hand back towards the left toes, palm faces up. Take a moment to align the shoulders, the hips, make sure everything is square. And then start to walk the right hand over to the left without shifting the right hip. Keep the right hip over the right heel, the right armpit presses down to the mat. Again, you can always roll up a towel behind the kneecap, just for some added support. Walk the right hand back through center. And let the left hand join it. One big breath here. And find your way up to tabletop. A gentle sway from side to side with the hips. Reach the right foot long behind you. Turn the toes to face the right side of the room. Bend the right knee as you step forward to the top right corner of the mat. Take as many steps as you need. Left leg reaches long behind you with as much or as little bend as you need. You can turn the right toes out slightly to the right. Just make sure that the right knee is pointing in the same direction as the right toes. Without actually moving the foot, think about drawing the right heel towards the left foot. Keep the heart open to the room in front of you. Squeezing the inner thighs towards one another, the outer hips reach out and back. Maybe even taking some gentle circles with the hips here, little sways from side to side, pausing in any areas that you feel tension. Circling in the opposite direction. And land in your pose. Option to come up onto the pinky toe edge of the right foot, lifting the inner arch off of the floor. Just stay with integrity through the core. Make sure you're not really coming into a deep cow-like back here. Protect your low back. Bring the sole of the right foot onto the floor. We're going to start to heel toe the right foot through center. Finding a low lunge. The right knee is above the right ankle. If it's jetting beyond, you may have to lengthen your stance. So slide that left foot a little further back. You can have as much bend as you need in the left leg. You may even be closer to a 90-degree angle. As long as the left knee is slightly behind the left hip and you're feeling a stretch in the front of the left thigh. From here, start to walk the hands back towards the hips, coming up onto the right heel. You can always use blocks beneath the hands for some added height. You want a flat back, buoyed cat-like rounding through the spine. Send the hips towards the heels. It's not to say you're sitting on the heel. It's just the direction that they're reaching. The tailbone's reaching towards the left big toe. Reaching the belly button beyond the right knee, the heart beyond the ankle, and the head beyond the toes. Walk the hands back to frame the front foot, returning to your low lunge. Maybe you're able to go a little bit deeper this time. Both hands to the inside of the right leg. Heel toe, the right foot to the outer edge of the mat. Shift your hips back as you slide the right leg to meet the left. Returning to your tabletop, however that works in your body. Then just swaying the hips from side to side. Find your tabletop. Extend the left leg long. Turn the toes to face the left. Bend the left knee, step forward as many steps as it takes to reach the top left corner of the mat. A nice wide stance in the legs here. So the left foot should be close to the edge of the mat. Both hands to the inside of the left foot. And turn the left toes out slightly. As much or as little bend as you need in the back leg. And you can have the shoelace side of the foot pressing into the floor. If that's not comfortable for the knee, you can always bring a little bit of weight into the toes. You can also fold over the side of your mat for some extra cushion or place a towel beneath it. Without actually moving the legs, draw the left heel towards the right knee towards the front of the mat. So they're not actually moving, it's just the isometric movement, so that kind of imaginary movement. Using the resistance of the floor to keep it from sliding. Stay on the sole of the foot or lift the inner arch of the foot off of the floor, the left foot, coming onto the pinky toe edge. Notice if you're collapsing into the ankle of the left foot. If you're on the pinky toe edge, make sure to keep integrity through the ankle joint. It's a straight line, it's not buckling. You can take those little circles with the hips if you like. Finding areas of tension in both directions. Find stillness in your pose. And bring the sole of the left foot onto the floor, heel toe, the left foot through center. Landing in a low lunge. Again, just adjusting your stance however you need. The wider the stance, the better your balance. Left knee is pointing the same direction as the toes. Maybe you're able to slide your right foot back a little bit further, straightening the leg a little bit more. Or maybe you need a little more bend on this side. We're just looking to feel a stretch into the front of the right thigh and into the right hip. Squeezing the inner thighs towards one another, the outer hips reach away from each other and back behind you. Keep that activation through the thighs as you start to walk the hands back towards the hips. Coming up onto the heel of the left, draw the toes of the left foot towards your face. And rather than sending the left hip towards the right heel, think about sending the right hip towards the right heel. The left heel is firmly rooted on the mat. You're folding forward over the left leg. It's okay if you choose to sit the hips down onto the heel, maybe you tuck the back toes and sit down. That's not necessarily the end goal of this pose. I think a lot of people, when they hear send the hips back towards the heel, they think that that's what we're aiming to do. It's not necessarily. Some people choose to do that as a modification to suit their body. But the end goal of this pose is actually sliding the left heel forward and coming into a split. So unless you plan on doing that today, don't even worry about an end goal pose. Just focus on feeling a stretch behind the left thigh. Walk your hands forward to frame the front foot, returning to your deep lunge. Left hand comes to the inside of the left foot. Heel toe, the left foot to the outer edge. Shift your hips back, slide the left foot back to meet the right. Land in your tabletop. A few sways from side to side with the hips. And then we'll come to land on our backs on our mat. The knees are bent to begin. Let the feet be close together, about hip distance apart, a little bit of space between the thighs and shins. Draw the heels in as close as you can to the pelvis, and then lower the feet to the mat. Make that capital L shape with your hands, both hands. Palms face the floor. Wedge the thumbs of your hands into your hip creases, so that area where the fleshy bit of your thigh meets the pelvis. Slide the thumbs in there. All four corners of the pelvis are on the mat. Shoulder blades tucked beneath you. And you can have a gentle bend in the elbows. Find length through the neck. And then we're going to start to press the thumbs into the hip creases, sending the hips away from the shoulders, lengthening through the low back. As you exhale, softly release that. Take a big inhale, press the thumbs into the hip crease, lengthen through the low back. Exhale, let it go. So as you're pressing, you can start to straighten the arms to add a little more pressure into the thumbs. So big breath in, press the thumbs into the hip creases, sending the hips away from the shoulders, start to straighten the arms. Exhale, let it go. Inhale to lengthen, really press those hip creases away. Exhale, soften. One last time. Big inhale, big press. Exhale, let that go. Draw the knees towards the chest. This time lifting the low back off of the mat. Really rounding through the lower back. And then lower the soles of the feet to the floor. Lift the hips up slightly, shift them over to the right just an inch or two before lowering them back down. Draw the knees in towards the chest and then over to the left for a twist. You can stack a pillow beneath the knees or place one between the knees or a yoga block as well. Arms extend out wide or go into cactus formation, and you can choose to look at the ceiling or gaze to the right. Bring the gaze back through center. Let the knees come through center as well. And lower the feet down, pick up your hips and give them a sway from side to side. Neutralizing them, finding the center, and then sending them slightly over to the left before lowering them down. Draw the knees towards the chest and then over to the right. Coming into your twist on the opposite side, root down through the left shoulder, and gaze to the left. Gaze comes back through center, knees will follow. Let the feet find the floor, lift your hips up, give them a sway. And when you find your neutral, lower them down. Draw the knees to the chest. This time the pelvis stays in contact with the floor. Lengthen your spine, reach the tailbone away from the top of the head. And then slowly release the feet to the bottom corners of your mat. Releasing through the ankles, let the toes fall heavy. Arms at your sides, the palms face up, tuck the shoulder blades beneath you. Long neck, gentle tuck in the chin. You can choose to keep the eyes open or they can close. Let the gaze be soft behind the eyelids. Relax the jaw, find some space between the molars. And find some stillness in your body. Without judgment, without attachment. Just do a gentle scan of the body. Noticing any changes from when you first landed on your mat. Noticing the space you've created, the tension you've released, and returning your awareness to breath. Following the gentle rise and fall of belly and chest with every breath, remaining here in stillness as long as you choose to. Taking advantage of this moment on your back to really absorb all of the benefits of your practice. When you do feel it's time to get up and go, do so slowly and mindfully. Gathering your belongings and going on with the rest of your day. And it is with such gratitude that I join you here in practice today and always. Until next time, Namaste.